This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
So, we've had so many awesome Canadian bands in this studio over the years. The Glorious Sons, Death from Above, 1979, Arkell, Strumbellas, Geddy Lee, Bryan Adams, but never Metric.
Damn.
Until right now, they have won multiple Juno Awards. They are a big deal. And we have Emily Haynes and Jimmy Shaw from the band Metric joining us. All the info at ilovemetric.com. Now, guys, if I have done my math correctly, are we approaching the 25th year?
Something like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
1998 or something?
Yeah, like we moved.
Well, we met in maybe.
We came to New York in 98, 99.
Yeah.
Yeah, those numbers add up.
They
Wow.
do.
Your math don't lie.
So hopefully we're all done with this crazy stuff that's been happening for the last couple years. So where were you? What were you doing? Were you making new music? Like, what was happening?
We actually built a studio in the last 2 years. That was the undertaking for us.
Well, we built a new studio.
Truth.
For the last 15 years or so. Funny that you mention DFA,
Death from Above, 1979, yeah.
My studio partner for a long time was Sebastian Granger, and we built a house and a studio in Toronto. And then he moved out to Los Angeles. I took over the studio, and it became really Metric's studio hub for the last.
It's called Giant.
Yeah,
we made
10 to 15 years maybe.
Yeah.
We made all the records there, like from Fantasies on.
Yeah,
all made
that's
there.
right. Because we did Old World Underground with Mike Andrews, obviously, in LA.
And Live It Out was on top of the bank in the East End of Toronto.
Of course it was. And then, from Fantasies onward, that's right.
So we end up kind of, holing out in the middle of the country, north of Toronto for the last couple of years, and then we we figured that we were going to get our longtime sort of musical partner and co-worker Liam O'Neill up with us, and we ended up just doing a lot of music in the woods, and it felt amazing. And then we found this amazing building that's like a converted church, and we decided to move our studio from the city up to this church, and it's been kind of like a dream space for us. It's been pretty amazing.
That's very ambitious, though, building a studio.
These guys are nuts.
I think we might be nuts, actually, because it felt like we were nuts.
That's
for
like
most
building
of
a
that
house.
process.
I mean, come on. It's like, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, too. Like, I know the part of being a team is we all have different strengths, and what I bring to the table is definitely not related to wiring.
Soldering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was so nervous because it was a big move. It was a big purchase. It was a big buy. And Jimmy's like, it's gonna work. It's gonna sound amazing. We're gonna put the drums up in the apse, just like where the priest would stand, and which Jules, I'm sure, was very pleased with.
Sounds very Led Zeppelin-y all of a sudden.
It kind of feels like
it
that.
Does totally feel like
it's
that.
like
Jimmy Page's place where he did the drums for
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, or Cashmere.
Yeah,
or,
right.
Levee Breaks. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
They're like legendary stories about
there's
that.
a castle with a
But I was like,
helium
how do
castle.
you guys know? Like, how are you going to make this like sonically work? And then when we were getting drum sounds, it was like we were getting results that are as good as we've gotten at Electric Lady and other studios that we've worked at that we love. So I was just so relieved. But going into it, it was such an act of faith on my part. Like, these guys know the sonic world, so they had something to base it on. But I was just like, man, as you say, over 20 years in, I'm like, I guess I believe in you. I really hope you know what you're doing.
Well, that would indicate that there's some new recording that was happening in this new studio.
Yeah.
Which would indicate that there might be a new album coming out soon. Do I have that correct?
You do.
It's something like
you
that.
Do.
Yeah.
You do.
Okay. So do we have a title of a new album?
We do. It's called Formentera.
Formentera.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that title. What does that mean? Or it
well,
doesn't have to mean anything. But.
Yeah. Well, in fact, it's like the whole album is looking at the idea of how you can create an escape in your mind when you can't escape physically, whatever you're in. And in fact, there was a book that was in the studio that I'd had around, one of those travel books. It was like 1,000 places to visit before you die, and turned to this page, and this one spot just stuck in my mind. It's a place I visited once years and years ago. It's an actual physical place, but in my mind, it was like where you could go when, as I said, it feels like there's no real escape in the physical world. So kind of like the movie Brazil. Did you ever see that film?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a kind of amazing idea where, when reality is unbearable, we have the human capacity to create an imaginary place in our minds. So we kind of took that and made the whole album into ideally an experience where you get to feel like you are transported to this sort of Hotel California.
Yeah, I want to go there right now.
You'll like it there. It's warm.
There was one of the early days that we were in the studio where Emily opens that book and she puts down on the coffee table in the control room and says, maybe every day we'll open to a new page and sort of imagine that we're emotionally in these places. And the day one was to Formentera, and I don't think the page ever moved.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think that book has been closed since then. It's still sitting open to that page right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Turn the page, you get another album.
Yeah, good idea. Great.
Now I know, we spoke about a new album, the title of the new album, which would indicate there would be a tour coming, and I will ask you about that shortly. But I did notice about one show that you will be playing with two of my favorite bands, Interpol and Spoon, August 26th. Now, is that Toronto?
That's the Bud Stage. It's a great venue in Toronto.
Have you played with those bands before or no?
We've socialized with Interpol. I don't think we've met.
No, we played shows with both. We played.
Did we?
We played a show in Kansas City with Spoon maybe 10 years ago.
God, I don't remember that.
I think
at
it was
all.
a radio show, and we played a show with Interpol much longer back than that. I think it was 2003 or 4, and it was at the House of Blues in LA. And the lineup was Metric, Interpol, Dashboard Confessional, and Ludacris.
Oh my God, I can't believe you remember that.
Lineup.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild lineup. And then we ended up in I don't know, someone from REM's house.
That's
night.
right.
It was a weird night.
That's right. Wow, good memory.
Well,
yeah.
Paul Banks is all about Mexico City these days, right? Doesn't he spend a lot of time down there?
If he does, he's a smart guy.
Yeah,
that's the best city.
Because so do we.
I gotta go there.
Okay, New York's up there, but Mexico City is it's pretty great.
We had Kiefer Sutherland in here a few weeks back, and his new album. Yes, Jack Bauer has an album. His new album is called Bloor Street, where a lot of things happened to him for the first time, which inspired the writing of his new album. Tell me your perspective of Bloor Street.
Oh my God, that's hilarious!
He had his first kiss there, his first concert there, his first fight that he got into was on Bloor Street. Tell me about Bloor Street from your perspective.
Okay, from my perspective, that shows Kiefer's age, because Bloor Street is where Toronto used to happen and no longer happens anymore.
It's like Times Square.
Well,
Times
it's just
Square's
sort of
Disney World now.
it
didn't used to be that way.
It used to be the delineating line between sort of uptown and downtown.
Okay.
When downtown was a place that you didn't really go very often. That's where it was when I was growing up in the city, but it's kind of no longer the whole city lives downtown now.
Oh,
and
okay.
There's a lot of culture that happens south of Bloor Street, or as I call it, Soblo, and
nice. Are you in real estate?
That's a hashtag.
I just find
right
that
there.
really, really funny.
I find
That's
that
amazing.
Soblo. I love it. You guys have played all over the world. I think, did you play Moscow?
We did.
We did, yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't now. Let's put it that way. But it was amazing. We have fans there. It's for some reason, as has been the case throughout our career, of just having such a great, strong connection with listeners in random places that find us, and the connection just seems to be deep. Without any sort of the conventional machinery. We've never really had anything resembling a real record label or that conventional kind of machinery behind the band. So I have no idea, but we had a great time.
I asked the Offspring that same question, and they're like, well, the fans are great. The fans are great wherever we go in the world. We don't necessarily agree with the government of that area where we are playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, so he says the fans are great. And I'm sure that's the same for you guys.
Same thing, yeah.
What has been the most memorable place for Metric to play, good or bad?
I don't think I'm ever going to beat. Well, maybe we'll see what happens. But us playing Radio City Music Hall, when we still had Lou Reed with us in the world, we collaborated with him on that album on Synthetica. He wrote a song with us called Wanderlust, and we had him come on stage and do Wanderlust into Pale Blue Eyes.
Wow.
Radio City, just within a year before he passed. So that's I don't know, like what do I want from life? I'm
Right,
pretty.
yeah,
I feel
mean,
very fortunate to have, and that's such a legendary venue to me growing up. When I was a little kid, my parents brought me to New York, and I saw Dionne Warwick there.
Oh my God,
she's so cool,
She's
and it
the
was
best.
it's like
She's
one of
a
those.
savage on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
She is just nuts.
Good
on
for
Twitter.
her.
You should totally follow.
I
her.
will.
Metric is with us. We got Emily and Jimmy from the band. All the info, ilovemetric.com. We have found out there is a new album called Formentera. Now I need to know, will there be a New York City date in the offing? Or can you not speak about that yet?
I have no idea if we can speak about it.
Yeah, I mean, there is, but I don't know if I can speak about it.
I don't know if we can say when it is, but there's no way we're not playing New York City. This is where the band met and formed, and
We can narrow it down to the year 2022.
You can definitely do that.
Okay, good. We have a new song from the band, and we're going to play that shortly. It's from the new album. It's called All Comes Crashing. What can you tell us about this song? Because I know there's definitely some inspirational stuff that affected the writing of this song.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the most concise way to put it is like, when there's a line in the song that says, when push it comes to shove, we do not fall out of love. We double down. We do not fade. So it's the idea of the people, and I don't want to get too emotional about this, but I already am. When things really do come crashing, and I think a lot of us have experienced that recently, and the fact is we all will at some point in our lives hit those moments of real crisis and challenge. It's like, who is the person or the people who are there with you in those moments? And it doesn't have to be romantic love. It could be your dog. This is going out to you, Romeo. It could be your husband or your wife or your family, or your musical family, your band, your friends, the people that mean the most to you, that you're just like, oh man, if this is it, and this is when it's all going to come crashing. I feel so fortunate to be standing next to you. And so it's kind of an ode to those relationships in our lives.
I know that you had mentioned that you were in New York recently, and you went to some very special event that I know that was sort of top of mind for you.
Yeah. Well, so we lost Hal Wilner at the beginning of the pandemic. And he's, some of your listeners, I'm sure, know him, or maybe if they don't know his name, they've heard his work. But he was a producer and of albums in the conventional sense, but also would put together these crazy lineups of amazing concerts that would, his signature move is bringing people together that you would never really imagine having on stage. So he's actually the person who introduced me to Lou Reed. Lou Reed was his best friend. And as a result, I got to, travel to Sydney with Laurie Anderson and Lou Reed and perform with them. Yeah, like life affirming stuff. But the loss of him was really just so painful for so many people, especially because there was no way to have a funeral or have a proper memorial. So
right around COVID at the beginning, right?
Correct. Yeah. So he actually passed away the same day as John Prine. Recently there was this gathering of people. His wife Sheila and the St. Anne's folks at St. Anne's Warehouse in Brooklyn put together this unbelievable concert that I was fortunate enough to be part of, performing with my friend Kevin Drew from Broken Social Scene, another Canadian band. We did Only Love Can Break Your Heart, which is a great Neil Young song. But because of Wilner, there are all these connections. So it's like Bono and The Edge are there because Wilner produced an album of T-Rex songs. That I did a song called Ballrooms from Mars, and they are on that record. So then I'm talking to The Edge, saying like, oh man, Hal would love that we get to meet, because of you. And Tom Waits, performing as well.
Oh,
and
man. Just
such an incredible lineup. Elvis Costello, Steve Buscemi getting up and speaking. And just, it's hard to imagine how anybody could fill the shoes of this guy, And so we were all in the room feeling that, I guess, of trying to keep that spirit of, the show business family is a real thing, and like there is a connection to me for the song of All Comes Crashing with that, of like, who would you want to be standing beside? It's like all this incredible, crazy mix of beautiful artists.
And it's very clichéic, but it's like when we lose somebody, it's that the person that has brought people together during their lifetime, in their passing, they also bring people together.
That's it.
And it continues.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right. The band is Metric. We have Emily and Jimmy from the band with us, and all the info at ilovemetric.com. A new album coming out, Formentera, and a new song we're going to play now called All Comes Crashing. Are you guys going to do a video for this song? Have you done it already?
Yeah.
So that will be posted
available
sometime soon. All right, guys. Well, listen, best of luck. We can't wait to find out where the New York City show is and date. We'll be sure to let our listeners know. Congratulations, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Can't wait.
Thank you so much.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q104.3.